So today we're going to talk about no duelist on Ascent, because it seems like we have a bit of a debate as to whether no duelist is good on Ascent or not. As you see here, Night Slow saying that, in their opinion, no duelist isn't the correct way to go. And there were some others in the comments as well of this tweet about, agreeing with that take. But then we have Stella from 100 Thieves, saying genius take and definitely was the issue. I'm assuming this was sarcasm. Yeah, let's talk about no duelist on Ascent and some of the problems. Obviously, this comes off the back of 100 Thieves not winning an attacking round and being 9-3 up and then losing 13-9 to Faze yesterday. And they were running kind of, one of FPX's comps, a comp that FPX have had a lot of success with, even on the attacking side. They win about an average of 7 rounds on the attacking side when they run this no duelist Sage comp, right? And we've also seen other teams, like Leviathan. I would say the Leviathan and FPX are the best Ascent teams in the world, and both of them run no duelist very often. So I do think there are some merits to running no duelist, and I will talk about that as well. I could point out as well that Faze with a duelist only won 3 rounds on attack as well. So I wouldn't call that great either, and so maybe a duelist isn't necessarily the solution to all of these problems. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at 100 Thieves versus Faze for a couple rounds and kind of talk about what maybe 100 Thieves could have done a bit better. And we're going to also take a look at a couple rounds from G2 versus OGLU, because OGLU were running the exact same comp as 100 Thieves, but managed to win 5 of their 7 attacking rounds, and the 2 that they lost were the pistol and the second round. They pretty much, as soon as they got guns in their hands, they won every single round. So maybe it isn't a comp issue. Maybe it's more kind of just how the game went. And so let's take a look at this then for 100 Thieves versus Faze. And I think one problem that 100 Thieves had was that maybe they were a little too committal in terms of what they were doing with this comp. And, they don't have that duelist. So being like, going for fast, like, burst executes or whatever obviously is going to be a bit harder for them. And I think overall you'll see in this round, and there was other examples of this as well, is they were a bit rigid in terms of their plans, right? In this round they're gonna go for a B split, and it's not gonna start off great, and they're kind of committed to doing that because that's how they started the round, right? And so what I would have liked to see from 100 Thieves was a bit more defaulty, a bit more taking it slow, kind of figuring out a plan as the round goes along, rather than just let's just do this, and this is our plan for the round. And so you'll see that's what happens in this round, and you're going to see that they don't adapt amazingly to this round, right? So Knife comes in, they actually destroy it, which is good because it would have seen a lot of people. Fadehorn comes in, it does actually see the chamber. Knife comes in, the chamber is forced to TP away. Now, one thing I should have mentioned as well is this is Faze's bonus, but this is an insane bonus by right. They have a Phantom here, they have an Op. Baby Bay has knives, so there's a lot of danger in this round, even though it is a bonus round. And unfortunately for them, what's going to happen is they start to, start their B split, right? They're going to put this smoke up here. I don't know if this is just a case of, maybe they peek a bit before the smoke is fully there, but either way, Dicey is going to manage to get a kill here, whether that's, just blind through a smoke, or whether it's, maybe they just peeked as the smoke was popping out. I don't know, but he does manage to kill Bang. And the fact that he kills Bang is not good for 100 Thieves, right? Because now they're running into an op with no smokes, which is obviously not very good. So what's going to happen eventually here is Dicey is just going to come back here, and this is just suicidal, basically trying to run out of this against an op with no smokes. So that's what happens, and then whilst that's going on as well, and they just got that kill, what's going to happen is Will is trying to put down his rendezvous, and Baby Bay comes swinging out from the other side as well, and manages to get that kill. So they end up in a 5v3 very, very quickly. Now, this is kind of what I mean about the lack of maybe adaptation sometimes in certain rounds, right? Like, because Bang has died and you're up against an op, this is very difficult to figure out in the moment, but I think, if 100 Thieves could, replay this round and go back to this moment and make a different decision, I think they would with this Sage Wall. Because what's going to happen here is Stella's going to use his Sage Wall here, which is a very common wall in this comp, to try and create a bit of a different off angle for you to potentially punish anyone on site or anyone down towards lane, or maybe even in market as well. But instead, I think, if they could replay this round and redo it, I think what they would probably want to do is wall across like this to allow them to cross, so that this op wouldn't be such a problem as we're about to see. So this is kind of, one of the big problems I think 100 Thieves had was they were a little too committed to what, they had like a preset plan in mind of what was going to happen, but when things went wrong, because they were so, in the moment of this is what we're going to do, you know, they weren't able to adapt if something went wrong in a round like this. And so you'll see they do end up getting punished for that, because whilst they do actually manage to find Flyer there, as Asuna like is much deeper in main than perhaps Flyer expects, you know, they aren't going to be able to basically cross through this choke point, right? As Dicey finds one there, and as I said, they're just walking into an op, you know, at a long range angle, and actually Stella does manage to eventually find the kill, but now we're in a 3v1. And so yeah, this was kind of, I think, the problem for 100 Thieves, maybe a bit too committal in terms of their plans and what they, you know, were expecting to happen, and got punished for that a bit. But yeah, eventually this round is going to end with Poised finding this last kill on Stella, and I think if 100 Thieves could go back in time, you know, they might change this up. And now let's come to round 21, and what happens here for 100 Thieves is, I think, just again, maybe a bit too eager, you know, to execute a plan, you know, before it's really necessary. And you'll see what I mean in this round, and just some maybe individual mistakes as well coming out in this round. They start off with this early knife and slow that doesn't see anyone towards short, and then they're actually going to start to come in towards B, and this is going to be a bit more of a commitment. Now, normally with no duelist comps, I say forcing it through, you know, just one choke point is just not possible. However, with the comp that they are running, I think that forcing it through B here as a 5-stack is possible, because you can do this Sage Wall here, and so this creates a different angle of attack for your opponents to have to deal with, and that I think is enough to allow you to actually do this with this comp going for a B push. I don't really think it's that possible on A, and we'll come to that, but B I think you can, because this wall creates a different enough angle for the attackers to have to worry about, that it can prove successful. But what's going to happen in this round is they send a Prowler in. It doesn't see this chamber, unfortunately, as well, so Will does die to the op there, as it doesn't see the chamber, and so they get the first kill. However, they have a res, but this I think is where the problem comes in, is that they needed to take the time to get this res off, I think, and you're going to see that the timing of everything is a bit off, because Stella's trying to res, whilst everyone else is kind of still, you know, ready to kind of go in, and so Stella could have had a free kill, I think, if the timing maybe was you know, not disrupted by this first kill, because what you're going to see is the fatal comes in, and maybe that's to actually, you know, push off the chamber as well, so that he doesn't repeat on the res. But either way, the fatal comes in, they send in a Noma flash, they start to come in. The problem is now, what you're about to see is they send in a Prowler as well, they start to come in, but because Stella has had to get that res off on Will and secure that, he's very late in getting this wall up. Now Asuna actually gets in onto the site, right? So they actually have managed to get through onto the site. The Fade Horn comes in, but Stella should ideally, you know, already be here, and he has a free kill. Right, this Silver is just dead if he's on this wall, which he would have been had they not rezzed. And so again, just like little timing things, right, where they have to res, so, you know, they're not quite ready to do this wall yet, and so everything's just a bit off. You know, that I think does end up costing them this round, because Stella comes up on this wall, but now finds no value, because now everyone from Faze is already deep in Boathouse, right, and so they can't really do anything about that. Now, whilst this is also going on, you know, and they're trying this fast B execute, they start to come in onto the site. Asuna actually just goes huge, and he just starts finding kills. Asa finds 2. He eventually does get traded here by Flyer, but we end up in this 4v3, and actually we're going to see, who is it? It's Poised here running through the smoke, and actually they managed to get that kill as well. We end up in a 4v2, and everything at this point should be pretty rosy, but we're going to see a bit of a mistake here by Bang, where he just, you know, as again, they're like securing the site, and obviously they know that Flyer is back here, right? He's been seen, they know Silver is here, that he's just got a kill, they know he's here. Bang is just gonna, you know, decide to take this fight on his own rather than waiting for everyone else. You know, he eventually is just gonna run in there, you know, whilst we see that not quite everyone else is ready for him, essentially, and so they can't quite get those kills. Whilst that's going on, Baby Bay has actually done... He's taken a bit of a risk by running down here, right? Because, I mean, he's just dead to anyone here. And he's smoked off the chamber trademark, and, you know, is ready to come onto the flank. And he's managed to find a free kill on the flank, because he's there way before you would expect, because he's actually dashed across as well. And, you know, he's just fully sprinted with his knife to come behind. And then he does one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen, which is he updrafts onto the Sage Wall to use the Sage Wall against them. This is one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen, and gets them a free kill now, right? Because this is what this wall is meant to do. It's meant to kill anyone who's playing in towards site. So Baby Bay gets another free kill there, and that's just kind of the way it goes. So yeah, Baby Bay gets a kill there, but actually Derek does manage to get a kill. And this is the thing, right? And another thing that I think you have to take in consideration is this is a 1v1 that very easily could have gone to 100 Thieves. You know, Baby Bay ends up on 10 health, and you have to consider that, you know, if that goes the other way, you know, we don't get all the headlines of, oh, 100 Thieves didn't win an attacking round on Ascent again. You know, that is just like pretty much pure chance that Baby Bay managed to win that fight there, and he lives on 10 HP, right? If we run that out again, I'm sure Derek wins his fair share of those fights. But unfortunately, in this instance, again, it didn't quite go for 100 Thieves. But now let's come to round 22, and I talked about in the last round that I don't love these just full A execs, and I think we see why here, right? Because on this B1, this Sage Wall does give you a different enough angle, you know, to actually cause a bit of chaos, right? It's in a different elevation, it's in a different angle that you aren't used to. That creates chaos. On this A side, there really isn't that Sage Wall to do, and so, you know, you are going to die coming through this choke point. It's not going to be easy at all. So let's take a look at it then. They are going to do it with a KO, which does make it a bit easier, but they prowler this early, they see that no one's there, right? So they go past the one way, they get into A main, they're ready to go. But they are going to have some problems here, and we will see part of the no duelist problem with trying to do this A exec with no duelist, right? Because they send in the prowler, it doesn't lock on to the Omen. I think that, you know, maybe they got a bit unlucky, the fact that it didn't lock on, but it does to the Jet. But you'll see that actually is a problem. Now they're also going to do this smoke on the middle of site as well. This is so that Bang can TP into the smoke. The problem with this as compared to a duelist, right, is that when you jet dash in here, right, you can check these close corners, right? You can quickly look to check a close corner and see if anyone's there, and you know, if they do have a jet, you know, you're doomed here if you're this Omen. And you'll see that that is part of the problem, that he's having to use a smoke, and also the fact that he's using this smoke is also going to allow a Dicey here on the chamber with the op to play around this smoke, where he can come across the smoke, as you'll see later, manage to get a kill and then dip back in and not be seen, essentially. So this smoke does definitely have its problems as well for 100 Thieves. I understand why they're doing it, to try and get someone deeper in the site, but it definitely does have problems. Again, if I were them, ideally what I would do, because you are going to struggle with these closer corners without a duelist, I think that honestly the wall that when Fnatic played this comp, you know, they did this wall across here, I think that this is a slightly better choice overall, because, you know, it just makes it a lot easier to, you know, get in. It just makes it easier for everyone to get in, and it allows you to just isolate this right hand side. You know, you don't have to worry as much about this left hand side as you otherwise would. So I do think that they, you know, maybe went a bit too early. They should have waited for that Sage Wall. They should have gone for something like that. But unfortunately they don't. Bang does TP in. But you see they actually do manage to get the first kill. They send a Fade Horn. They send in a Flash. They actually get a nice little kill on Baby Bay. It's all nice there. But now they are having troubles getting out of this choke point, right? Where again, you know, they're struggling with this close angle because they maybe don't have that duelist to check it's there. Superman ends up getting two. Eventually he will get traded. But now you're going to see exactly what I meant with this chamber, where after the Sage Slow fades out, he's able to kind of just isolate this angle using the smoke and kind of using it as protection as well. So we end up essentially in this 2v3. Now, eventually they do manage to kind of, you know, get it into a situation again where it's winnable, as Will gets that kill. We end up in a 2v2 as Asuna finally dies from the chamber ult. But now I think just maybe Will not really realizing the situation and where these players were, because after the smoke comes up, I think he must think that he's just completely safe, maybe not realizing that Poise was already out, and so they kind of give up a free kill there. But again, we end up in a 1v1. Right, again, a very winnable situation. And again, if we ran this, you know, especially with Bang, considering how good he is normally in these situations, you know, again, if we ran this enough times, I'm sure Bang would hit a headshot there and manage to kill Flyer. Fortunately, he doesn't this time, and Flyer manages to win the round for Faze and win the game. Now let's come to G2 versus OGLU and see what OGLU did, which was a bit different. And straight away you can see the difference in approach here. A very deep default is being held by OGLU. This again is G2's bonus after winning the pistol, which we saw the equivalent from 100 Thieves. But you're going to see that even though they end up in a bad situation as well here, they're going to manage to make it work. As Nuki goes for a fast play there, they actually get the first kill, but a trade, and they spot Hoodie here as well. But Hoodie's about to just, you know, make this round seem like, oh my god, what's going on for OGLU, because he hits a random shot on Molsey, and I'm sure OGLU were probably, you know, not too happy about this in this moment, and we end up in a 3v4. But you see, because OGLU didn't go in with a committed plan, they still feel comfortable to, you know, explore the map a bit more and really come up with a plan, you know, on the fly for their situation that they are currently in. So you see, this was a common thing as as well that we'll see in the other round is Feku is willing to take B main, right? He's willing to take that fight into B main, and he takes this control all by himself. Similar thing in mid, right, where we're going to see Destrian is going to just walk up mid, and he feels confident in doing so because, you know, they need to try and take a risk, essentially. They need to try and push the boundaries and see what's going on. Feku can hear that obviously the chamber trap is by him on B, so maybe that allows Destrian to feel a bit more comfortable with doing this overall. But they come up with a plan here of how they're going to get this next kill, because now Destrian is really pushed up in mid, right? He's all the way up here into mid, and so now they're going to come up with a plan where it's, okay, I'm going to destroy this chamber trap. The guy that's watching back here hopefully will rotate to B, and that should allow you to sneak up here. And it works exactly like that, because what's going to happen is they're going to destroy the trap. You see that Mixwell instantly rotates as he thinks, oh, they must just be in B, and so then Destrian starts to walk up. They send a Fade Prowler out here as well that Feku shoots as well, and so what happens is Destrian now is just going to get a nice easy free kill on Mixwell as he comes around this corner, and he almost finds Meadow as well, right? But then retreats. Now they're in a 3v3 and they have better guns overall, so now, you know, they're playing much more safe, and, you know, he doesn't commit to taking that fight against Meadow because they could be in trouble. They get the C's off there as well to stop Meadow from pushing them and making sure he can't. We end up in a 3v3 post plant, and they're going to play this post plant really well as well, where everything's just seemed very controlled and measured, right? Because you look at the positions that they take up, right? They have the Omen here, he's watching towards the lane, Destrian's watching towards the stairs, and Feku is in a position where he can basically, you know, depending on where the contact comes, he can just pivot to either side and then, you know, get potentially a kill that the opponents aren't expecting. So you see that they smoke off towards the stairs there. They actually send an Omen flash there as well to delay people coming from that angle. In come G2, they send a Fade Horn, they send their KO nade, but now you see that, you know, this Omen is ready here, and Feku is ready to actually turn around this corner. He actually gets the kill onto Ev over there. Now Meadow, obviously knowing that Feku is here, he's now swinging at this, so the guy in the back of Boathouse, he's going to manage to get the kill on Meadow, and then Feku's here to also kill Hoodie as well. Really well played by OGLU overall, and you see that because of the way that they kind of started the round with a less committal approach, they were able to use that to then like formulate a plan for the situation that they ended up in. But now let's come to round 18, and we'll see just again, OGLU are going to go for a B split, and you'll see what I mean with some of the things where it was just a bit more coordinated and the team play was just a bit better, but also you just need a bit of luck sometimes, as we'll see in this round as well, because this round could have gone very differently if just like, you'll see it, a little thing is slightly different. So they start off with a more default look, and they actually KO knife this. Now Mixwell has his tour de force, and he is actually almost staring at Feku right there, but in come the rest of OGLU, and as I said, Feku was willing to kind of take B main on his own and take these fights overall. They send a Prowler in towards mid. Nuki actually breaks the trap on towards A, so you see Boo is kind of ready for that and kind of reacting to that potential as well. But in come the side of OGLU towards mid. But here's where the luck comes in, right? Because watch this. Feku is about to turn this corner, and a smoke comes up from over. I think because of the Prowler in towards Market, he decides to smoke this off. Feku would have died, right? If that comes in a second later, he's dead. This is probably a bit of a different round. But now he has B main, right? And this again is the difference that, you know, they kind of were, they still could have easily adapted to this round had maybe Feku died. You know, they might have come up with a different plan. You know, it seemed more measured overall from OGLU is what I would say, which I think fits the comp a bit better. They send a Prowler down here. They see that this KO is pretty deep, so they feel confident. And okay, we've got Feku pushed him in B main. We don't have any A main control because they've actually destroyed the trap, so we don't know about this yet. So let's go for our B split. Let's put up the Sage Wall here. As you see, they ping, and now they're ready to come in. But again, we're going to just see a bit more discipline. Smoke timing is good. They're ready to come in onto the site. That forces the G2 players, as you can see, back in onto the site. This is going to be a really good round because watch again. Feku doesn't come out of this smoke, and you know, we saw it with 100 Thieves where, you know, maybe people were a bit eager to take some fights. He doesn't come out of the smoke until his teammates are ready and here, right? And so even though it looks like Feku is going to be the one to get this kill, actually Destrian gets this kill again because he was patient and waiting for his teammates to be there to take this as a 2-on-1 fight. So Destrian ends up getting the kill, and OGLU go towards site, right? They send in a really nice Omen flash. They're going to send in a Fade Horn in here as well that's going to see Mixwell, so that when he swings this corner, location revealed, and this Sage is ready to kill him as well. Really, really nice from OGLU, right? And they take the site, and eventually, because, you know, they haven't even destroyed this Sage Wall G2, they all get suppressed here at the back as well. You know, I mean, this is just too much to clear. They actually go and save eventually here because, you know, they don't have any information about this. They'd have to break the sage wall. Funneling all through here as a 3 is not going to be great when you're also pressed either. So they do go on to save, but a really nice round for OGLU. And so I think you can see that with kind of, I think, the right mindset and the right game plan and playing well as a team, you can definitely make a no duelist comp work on Ascent. I mean, really, as we've seen multiple times.